Yeah, I'm late to the party on this one. Like, really late. Which is weird, because I actually pre-ordered the game. It's been sat on my to-do list for nearly 5 years, and with the sequel on the horizon, I finally decided to actually sit down and play the damn thing. I often find that games don't live up to the hype surrounding them, usually falling short on some pretty major elements in either storytelling or gameplay, or they have some pretty dramatic bugs and technical issues. But here? I think this is one of the rare cases where the game's hype doesn't oversell the experience. I don't want this to be a super nerdy deep dive or heavily involved plot analysis. I just want to share my thoughts on the expectations going in and the experience I ended up having with it. So we all know what the God of War games are about, right? Big angry man with spinny fire swords killing everything in his path, even when he doesn't need to. Complex action puzzles and platforming sections, quick time events to test your reaction speed and patience, a dramatic story of betrayal, love and revenge, sprinkled with mini-games that make you check over your shoulder and make sure your mum didn't just walk in, and that one boat captain that just can't catch a break. Well, scrap all of that. Well, some of it. Okay, not that much. See, this was kind of strange for me. When I first saw the reveal trailer, I didn't actually realize it was God of War until it put the title on the screen because it looked so different. The focus seemed to have totally shifted. An over-the-shoulder camera. Really? That doesn't seem right. Well, nothing new to games, I didn't know how it would fit here. A companion? Again, nothing new, not even to the God of War series, but this feels far more integral to this game than it was in God of War 3. And it's an open world. And it's an RPG now? I won't lie, after hearing all of that, I was worried that they were selling the soul of the game to follow popular trends. Luckily, after playing the game, it would seem that they actually found even more soul. We have a far more relatable and emotionally compelling Kratos, while still retaining his intimidating presence and sense of power. We got to see him struggle with his past and try and learn from it without undermining and villainizing him. Watching him trying to be a good father is a challenge I never thought I wanted to see him face, and yet, here it is, and I'm all for it. You jump straight into the heart of the story, watching him trying to keep himself together while saying goodbye to his wife. The movements are heavy, slow, and intentional. The game wants you to feel this moment and take it all in. It eases you into the combat, making sure you see this as an escalation. Kratos isn't looking for a fight, it's looking for him. It's a perfect example of starting small and personal, and having the focus broaden over time. It includes more characters and the rest of the world organically and with purpose. While it can feel a bit fetch questy at times, it always tries to give you a solid reason and explanation as to why you're doing these things. The gameplay never skips a beat. Just the basic exploration and traversal feels great. The environments make you want to explore. So many small puzzles everywhere built into this old and neglected world. The solutions never felt contrived or forced, though at times I did look at some of them and think this could easily be solved with a jump button. The combat walks the line between having intuitive basic attacks that work in most situations and needing you to learn the more complex combinations for tougher enemies. I started falling into familiar rhythms when I found a combo that worked for me, but as I leveled up and unlocked more attacks, I find myself stumbling across more intuitive moves that chained them together and kept the combat fluid, fun and varied. The thing I'm still not too sure about overall is the RPG and loot system. While it's kind of fun finding new gear and special moves, it's just not what I think when someone says God of War. I would walk into a challenging area and think to myself, do I have the right gear on? Am I a high enough level to be here? Or do I need to unlock certain attacks to fight these enemies? In other games I wouldn't think twice about it, but here it just felt a bit weird. The Valkyries, for example, really cool side bosses. The first time I went up against one, it absolutely flattened me. So I decided to go and do some more of the story and set aside some time to just go hunt Valkyries later. When I did come back, it didn't feel like I'd learnt more moves and become more proficient. It just felt like I had bigger numbers and a shinier axe. It didn't ruin the game, not even close, but it did feel a bit anticlimactic. The biggest problem was also kind of its biggest strength. The boy. grounding Kratos and keeping him motivated, informing his change and growth as a person and slowly helping him to accept who he is and move on and get closure. He's worked nicely into the combat and puzzles. Having him be the one who knows how to read the runes is a great reason to exposit Norse mythology to the audience, because it's done in the understanding that he's telling Kratos and not just mumbling to himself. He is, however, a pain in the ass I wish would shut up sometimes. Yes, boy, I know I can get in the boat and go wherever I want. It's an open world game, I get that. His sudden personality change when he finds out the truth about his father is incredibly jarring, and I just hated him during this section of the game. But when all's said and done, he does bring a lot to the experience and the game is better for it. I want to find some actual negatives to say about it, because I don't think it's a perfect game, but sat here looking back over my time playing, I just don't remember having that many problems with it. The combat felt great, the story was engaging, the bosses were fantastic, the spectacle and scale of everything was incredible, and I mean, even the side stuff felt compelling. I really can't think of any reason to not recommend it. It's big, it's beautiful, it's story-rich, it's fun, and it honestly felt like a game that wanted to be made, and not just a company saying, "Oh, we haven't made enough money off of this yet." So until Ragnarok drops and I share my thoughts with you again, get out of my box fort.